All right, everyone, welcome to Real Talk Live with the Hungry Horse. You are listening to White Musashi and Easter D Bunny, and we are here with another episode. This one will be about anger management. This isn't one of our regular Real Talk. This is our therapy talk, if you will, self motivation, and on another recording. So here we go. Let's do it, Easter. Let's talk about some anger management. And
Yeah,
do we want to do the A side and B side today, or do we want to just do
yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, okay, cool. So we're gonna do the first recording A side, and then after that we'll
yeah,
do a second recording B side.
yeah.
All right. If we want to go ahead and go with the A side, since my side's the A side, so how we do this is one side asks questions and then the other side answers. And we're going to guide you along through some anger management. So, all right, here we go. This is side A.
Describe being in control.
Being in control is having my emotions affect my life in the inside only. How I feel about something is my own responsibility and not anybody else's. Um, Being in control is looking at the things that I want and I want to do and want to see and want to taste and want to experience in my life and setting a plan to be able to do it and make that a reality. Um, it is being able to step away from situations, scenarios, relationships, peacefully if possible, um, in pursuit of what our forefathers called happiness. Yeah, and that's what I feel being in control at the most would be, because I also believe as we are, human, and we didn't choose our bodies as far as we know. We are just as subjugated to this world, including ourselves. We're subjugated to society and so on, and civilization, and the foundations and rules that we were given. So, self control is being able to respect the boundaries of civilization and still be able to pursue all that one wants in their life. It's also being able to deal with oppression and suppression. If you suppress it, it'll lead to an outburst. But if you can trickle it out safely among safe people with safe and healthy language, then stress and feeling out of control becomes it's more manageable. Life is manageable. Being in control means life is manageable. And whenever our life isn't manageable, being out of control and having your life out of control means it's not manageable. So we've got stress, we've got anger, we've got all the human emotions, right? But you have manageable and you have unmanageable. And if anybody divides their anger, how angry they are, or is trying to self-diagnose or diagnose somebody else's personally, they're angry. Okay, anger is fine. Um, they are unmanageably angry, meaning they're freaking out, they're screaming. There's something wrong, and it may be justifiable anger, but they are nonetheless out of control. Being out of control is when you didn't want to feel like that, and you now do, and you are trying to get away from that sensation. Being in control is you may be dealing with outside circumstances, but you are still centered. You may feel the insult or injury, um, but you're not moved by it, meaning you're not moved to anything irrational. You're not moved to um, vent. You're not even moved to what society would deem, oh, that person's venting. You're just sitting with it. You're still with it. You're patiently waiting. Being in control is being able to know when you've done enough, know when it's time, like I said before, know when it's time to leave, um, and to take action and do it, and as peacefully as possible if you can. That is always the number one answer, especially for men, because the male expression of anger can be very intimidating to people. So it's kind of like being a pit bull dog. It's not allowed to growl. Pit bull is damn near not allowed to growl. How many pit bulls have been put down because they didn't like the way something was around them? They weren't going to bite them, but nobody's willing to take that risk. It's the same thing with a human man in the Western world. So there's a lot at stake when maintaining self control in high stress situations, especially during insult and injury or injury. Oh.
Tell me about diffusing your anger and channeling it in a more productive way.
So exercise is a great way to diffuse anger. Um, and what was the other part of the question? Diffusing
Um,
and
Channeling it in a more productive way. And you
yeah,
said exercise.
exercise. Perfect. So the two go one and the same. Channeling anger in a healthy way is by turning what is disturbing into something that is motivating. So, um, yeah, like for sports, you can use it for drive. We do this all the time with certain types of music, more aggressive music, or you can make some music. Fred Rogers, Saint, he had made a song, and it was for kids, but it stuck with me, and it was something I used in parenting when my kids were young, and it was something to the lines of, what do you do with the mad that you feel when you feel so mad you could bite? Do you pound some dough or shape some clay, or do you go out and find some friends to play a game of tag? Um, and he went on a little bit, but he goes on to say, it's okay to be angry, and it's what we do with it that really counts. And yeah, trying to channel it into a healthy, productive um, manner, to find a benefit, to find always try to find a benefit from any opposition, any struggle that we go through. And if you are still alive, then that benefit is available. It's just, you may have to stick your hand in some slime to you know underneath a hidden rock. You don't know what's under there, um, to be able to get it, um, accepting a lot of the realities for what it is from other people, and other people's behavior, and knowing that the world can be chaotic, and you don't have to be. You don't have to participate with that. You can take that energy from it, and actually use it to build confidence and esteem. Because sometimes when you're if a person's stressed, it's most likely because another person's putting them under it. Let's just be honest here. It is seldom because somebody is dedicated to a project. It is because they are dedicated to a project and somebody else is saying, "Oh, it has to be done this way or that way." There's standards, there's quotas, there's timelines, time frames. There's a boss who wants it one way, and it's got to be done that way. And then there's an inspector who wants to make sure, things like this. So it's usually induced through a social interaction somewhere, extreme amounts of stress in a human, whether it's placement in job, friends, relationship, business deals gone bad, legal trouble or civil legal trouble. These kind of things, they accumulate. So in the beginning, it's very easy to end up in shock, just like stages of grief, and then to end up in rejection, denial, and rejection are pretty much the same thing. Then to anger, sadness, after in an acceptance, um, accepting that people around you may get enjoyment off of making you stressed. So not allowing their goal to be seen by them. So you may be hurt, you may be angry, it may be absolutely justified by any god, nature, um, by any right or law, and it is best to be still. It's best to be still, and to try to move as little in the world as possible, not make any big decisions, and do what you enjoy softly, because you're actually going to be going at it harder than you think, because when you're stressed, your body is moving harder. Like, you'll do more push-ups than you normally would. You won't even feel them, type of thing. And I believe because there's a certain type of maybe a mental pain, or maybe it's a numbness that, I don't know, maybe it numbs the body during certain amounts of stress, that you just try to be as quiet about it as possible, and physical in a healthy way. And physical in a healthy way. Whatever it may be, if you like to paint, if you like to make art, if you like to work out, or you like to ride bicycles, things like this. And the only people to ever talk to about and not vent to. There is nobody on earth that a person should, quote unquote, vent their anger to. But to help assess and to be seen and to be known, only the most trusted of friends and family. And then if you're going through so much stress, you don't want to stress out certain people that have empathy for you, regardless of what you're going through. You want to express what you're going through to very logical, sound people that are going to give you logical, sound advice. And spending the energy that way um, will help keep you grounded and understood. You don't want to get energy from people that are going to try to motivate you into something that is going to become self-destructive. And that can be very easy, especially when say you've been done wrong, and you tell your friends, just your chummy buddies, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna go fuck him up, and you should fuck him up and stuff like that. Um, these kind of thoughts and conversations are only going to instill more anger and more discomfort, when the best thing to do is to think as nonviolently as possible, and to think, quote unquote, violently towards your hobbies, your actions, in what you do enjoy, and get back to that. So if somebody breaks something, instead of trying to make them fix it or be held accountable for the damage done, just do it yourself. Fix it yourself. Um, things like this. Things like this. Always learn something new from a new stress or opposition. If you want to get the most out of it, um, learn from it. Take something from it. Every day in life, really, even if you're a hermit, there are situations, scenarios, and interactions that will offer you a great deal to learn from. And people will never fail to surprise you. You will be surprised no matter how much you know, no matter how streetwise, business savvy. I don't care if you're a kingpin, criminal lawyer. It doesn't matter. Someone will surprise you, and they will surprise you specifically, personally, because it will be personal. It will be dealt with you. You will have seen it happen to other people, but you never would have thought it would happen to you. Maintaining the calm in these situations is critical. And the only reason I can say this is because I know, because I have lost my damn cool, not with my fists, not with my hands, but with my mouth. And I didn't have to lie. I just had to speak how I felt, and it was more than enough to cause me a whole heap of trouble. So after that, I learned, okay, even if it's legal, that doesn't mean that I'm legally protected or that I'm legally safe. I may be safe from, I don't have to worry about going to jail, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to get sued. I'm not going to have, the outside world attack me or give people a reason to think I may be a scumbag, even if it was justifiable. Um, so knowing that there is another route, there is another way. For me, the bike. I like my bike. It is the most stress and aggression harnessing tool that I have. Martial arts. Before that, it was martial arts. I loved martial arts. I dedicated my life to martial arts. I did nothing but martial arts. Sunrise to sunset to sunrise again at times. Lived it dedicated full-time schedule for years. That was because I was constantly angry. I was pissed off and I was hurt. And this was a way to mask how pissed off and hurt I was. And it saved my house from a ton of walls, I'm sure. I never punched a hole in the wall. I never, went around, breaking things or tearing doors off of walls. I had things to hit. I had a speed bag, a Wing Chun dummy. I still have a heavy bag. Was breaking rocks and bricks in the backyard, punching chunks of iron. Bing, bing, bing. Um, these practices for me personally, I would assume it would be the same for a guitarist who plays until their fingers bleed. Um, Stuff like that. It keeps us normal by giving us an outlet that society can see and understand and not fear because it's under control. So these things are symbiotic with each other. The finding something productive to do with it, and making the most out of it, and also um, being calm, being in control, because you can't control the world and you can't control other people. You can um, agree, you can disagree, you can barter, you can plea, but you cannot control that person. You can predict that person, and at times to surgical accuracy, but you cannot change what they're planning on doing unless you're using some serious advanced levels of diplomacy. And even then, if somebody's got their mindset, they're probably pretty serious. It probably doesn't matter what you say. So saying very little to whatever is opposing you, and only saying what's necessary is pretty much key. But it gets difficult because sometimes people don't understand calmness, and they don't understand self-control, and they take that self-control and self-discipline for weakness. So it becomes a balancing act.
Talk to me about emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence. To thine own self be true. Know you. Know you. Again, being honest with yourself and with others, to exposure of whatever degree that level of relationship requires. Um, it's all about self integrity. You know,
Explain to me how you stay aware of your emotions and why that's important.
staying aware of your own emotions is, for me, I consider it like running diagnostics. The same thing like a bodybuilder. They looking in. Oh, they see their triceps, they see their biceps. For me, I do emotional diagnostics, and I'm assessing how I feel about interactions, circumstances, situations, um, daily, daily, whatever I'm going through, and assessing how do I really feel about this. Is this situation specifically making me feel a type of way, or is it not? And is it something else? So also listening to feedback, because you can be under stress from 5 or 6 different things, and it could make anybody edgy. So then you listen to the feedback. Listen to the feedback of those close to you. Hey, when they say, what's going on, are you all right? Be honest with them. That's somebody who cares. When somebody says, hey, I noticed you're being stressed out. Um, are you good? That's your friend. That's your ally. Um, unless they're trying to manipulate you, but usually if they're coming to you, that's because they care. They're seeing something going on. So these kind of things are important towards, the intelligence and identity of the thing itself, when coping with, your own emotional body in these types of situations, in high stress environments, and so on, high stress circumstances.
Talk to me about picking up on mood changes, not just in you, but in other people.
Okay, so this may sound cold, but I'm always cautious about anybody extra comfortable with expressing their problems on an introduction level. Um, so you have circumstances that can cause different emotional responses daily. I stubbed my toe this morning, and oh, the dog is happy to see me. I threw the ball, and the dog caught the ball. It made me laugh. Oh, the car won't start. I gotta go. Plug it in and jump the car. Okay, the alternator's charging. Got to figure that out. And then oh, I got my favorite coffee drink, or whatever it may be, and these things. But we usually go through these things with hardly noticing, hardly noticing. Uh, and then we get a big spike of a bunch of bullshit, and then that's when the real work comes in. That's when the real work comes in.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of comment on where we're going with this one too. Talk about having the ability to reason with your emotions.
So the emotions are the instinct speaking to the logical mind. because emotions, we have words for emotions, but emotions don't have words for themselves. They have a sensation. We have to make words for that emotion. We have to conjure words for how we're feeling. So, there is no stopping the emotion itself. Life can shock you into stopping the emotion. Life can make your emotional homeostasis angry, bitter, or sad, or content, or happy. It all depends on how we, for one, allow our environment to affect us. Your environment will and should affect you. That is healthy. Your body will tell you when there is danger. Your body will tell you when it feels safe. Your body will tell you something's not right here. Your body will tell you this tickles me. Something about this is silly, and I enjoy it. Um, you know, these are the emotional properties of a human being. We're subjugated to them. It's just, how do you behave? How do you behave? We have all these things instinctively. That's how you would behave if it weren't for civilization. But because of being a civilized human being, we can dictate our behavior against our emotion. So our emotion is telling us you want to do all these things. You're so angry, and you may come up with words to express this anger. But in reality, uh, if you're civilized, you really don't want to harm anybody. You are not going to take action to harm anybody. The only time you would ever harm anybody would be in a self-defense situation or defending another person who is helpless. So, this is what that is. You can't ever shut it off. Oh, I just don't feel anything. No, that comes from severe trauma. Um, it's that you feel it and you endure.
Talk about how you relate or how you regulate the emotions of your peers.
Well, by my own presence being, um, when we group up, we're all like plugs into a single unit. So if the circuit's off, then if you've got positive and negative, and if you've got a negative where it should be positive, then you're going to be getting a ground, a dead weight, a dead cell, if it's supposed to be positive, because everything should be in agreement on what's negative. It should be, here's the kink in our project, here's what we need to solve, and everybody, that negative becomes a positive because they all agree, because that's logic. So when we are in a line with the goals, purpose of the project, the team, um, then we're aligned. We're a contributor now. We're now influencing the attitude of the team with reinforcement, with positive reinforcement, and then the same, maliciously, if somebody wanted to be negative when things should be positive, or positive when things should be negative, then they're now disrupting the flow of energy. So they're controlling the environment, just like an
Yeah,
on-off
talk about
switch.
on that. Talk about intelligently evaluating others' sentiments.
Intelligently evaluating others' sentiments. So are you talking about sentiments as in things that they say?
Yeah, and not even when we go deeper than just the words that come out of their mouth, just you can kind of tell with intellect what they're feeling without having to say anything.
Yeah.
So not just the words, but being able to evaluate their emotions, their what their intentions are, and more than just like you say, because the words represent they usually have suggestion power, right? And when we say that take the words away, then it's power of intentions.
yeah.
So it's you get what I'm saying. So I would say talk to me about intelligently evaluating what that is with other people.
So you've got circumstances, motives, life's positions, and human interaction. So very few people can see a skill past their own nose or past their, say, Uncle Joey, right? Uncle Joey, he can whoop anybody's ass. He had the fastest car in all of town. He ran the longest yards in football in high school. Nobody's better than him. If you're better than me, then you're not better than Uncle Joey, and you'll never meet him. Um, so and then understanding that the reason somebody is nice to you is because either you can fill a need for a work or logical purpose, and then there is the you make them feel good. And why do we make somebody else feel good with our presence is because humans are instinctive to socially bond and communally bond on far more levels than it is civilized. Um, but here we are civilized, and how we bond now is most often with our words. So with that, you know, you can intelligibly assess with logic what's going on, why someone's happy, why someone's angry. And with this, it gets into psychoanalysts. You can't really teach how to psychoanalyze, but I would say ultimately the step is be completely honest with yourself, and how to do that is tap into your subconscious and trust in that, and start challenging the constraints of society in a way that makes you uncomfortable but isn't dangerous or detrimental or anything, and see if it changes anything, because it won't. So knowing yourself deeply, know yourself to know others. You can't know others without knowing yourself, but in judging others is not about assessing self, but genuinely assessing the other's behavior. Self is completely separated, whether it's based on an attack to self or a loved one, is that it has to be assessed not as you are a victim, though you are, or maybe, but as though you are a judge with no power. That you assess it as a judge. You look at both sides, your side, their side, and you find your balance by removing yourself from the situation. But that can only come if you can properly assess, hey, this is going on. Right, to do it, I would say, you can write things down, but to do it just off the bat, I don't, God, I don't know how the hell I do it. It's I'm trained to do it.
Come on,
You, you know,
you have to know. You have to know better. Just knowing
yeah,
better,
yeah.
knowing
You
better.
just have to
Some people
know.
just yeah. Some people will never know any better,
Yeah.
and and then when they do know better, sometimes they get in denial and they don't go with the flow of traffic.
I guess you have to see enough liars get broken in front of you,
Yeah.
And you have to, and the only way to really do that with the level of confidence that we both have is you have to be trained. It has to be in a controlled environment that's not very controlled, so you can see it happen to that many people. Their lives get broken, and after that, you can confidently catch a liar. Confident. They don't know how you caught them, but you caught them. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's trusting intuition and trusting your own judgments, and you'll see it. You see differences in different types of smiles. You know, somebody who's overly nice to you in the beginning, he was probably told something about you, and you have something he wants, or she. One time I was sitting on my front porch, and there was this car, and I hear this woman talking, and she was saying something about me and saying that I was single and that I lived in that house, and I don't even know if they saw me sitting on the porch, but it was like, what the fuck? They were literally driving, like basically like they were shopping in a neighborhood. Like for someone to take care of their business, whatever, take care of them. So it's like assessing people's motives is a key part of reading somebody. If somebody is extra nice to you on introduction, that means they already know something about you and already want something. If somebody is nice to you and then gets mean and then nice to you, that means they already have control of something that you care about. They don't think that you can leave their abuse, and they're not going to let you go. Things like that. But genuineness, it comes with action. It comes with action. It comes with behavior and treatment, positive treatment, and honesty, and it comes with good stuff. It comes with good times and fun. Manipulation comes with the other. So catching a sly, shady smile, and then it turns into the radically screaming and stuff like that. And people do this, and I've been through it. It gets intense because you'll end up knowing what that person's all about before anybody else, and you end up looking like the person that ends up calling everybody out if you don't keep your mouth shut for a while and just assess, and their intentions will show. But if they start treating you bad but they're saying they love you, then their smile takes on new meaning. Yeah.
Talk about this ability of getting along with others, right? The ability that you have to do it. Tell me why the ability is always going to improve for you.
Why is it always going to improve for me? The ability to get along with others.
Yeah, why are you always going to do better at it? Not just the idea that it comes with age, because that's dismissive. It's the idea of everything that goes into it. There's a lot to it.
Knowing where to go, when to leave, who to talk to, who not to talk to, how much to talk, how little to talk, what to tell, what not to tell, who to tell, who not to tell. And these are all based on legal, consensual, appropriate parameters for each social interaction type. So, I don't know if that answers the question.
No, it's good enough.
Yeah. What was the question again? Let me see.
It was your ability to get along with others and why that ability is going to improve as with age as you go on.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
Why you're good at it, you know, not just being social either. When we say getting along, it's more than just being social. It's the idea of, you know, the parts with lending the helping hand, having goodwill towards mankind and everything else. And it's just the idea of why for you, the ability, just you keep getting better at it.
yeah. Well, with goals and striving towards new things, the more I accomplish and the more resources are available to me, the more people that I work with and shake hands with, the more opportunity there is to reach more people and to be able to provide something that's actually genuine, without, you know, a need or a addiction for more material to covet and hoard, if you will, but rather the enjoyment of seeing people enjoy life and enjoying life with people and enjoying coming up with solutions to problems, especially specifically pertaining to matters of success, specifically of success. Yeah.
Tell me why it's important to keep building strength in your relationships and in your friendships.
Uh, being consistent, being a person that people feel they can, and then it's backed up, you know, genuinely rely on or consistent with their logic and you know, contributing with, you know, positivity or intellectual inspiration, um you know, stuff like that.
Tell, tell me about dissecting emotions.
They can easily be compartmentalized and categorized and then, you know, observed. How do you really feel about something, um in the moment and then after, in the moment and then after, um you know, categorize them: manageable and unmanageable, each emotional
Uh,
category.
okay. Tell me about why managing anger whenever it might arise. Uh, tell me about why managing the anger will create a better life for yourself and your loved ones.
Absolutely, absolutely. um Anger is a destructive emotion by nature, by nature. And you know, it's destructive for survival purposes. So if we're expressing our anger in civilization, we are not truly expressing anger. We are mimicking anger. We are feeling anger, but we are socially expressing it. Unless the person actually goes postal, then they're behaving by their nature. So when we express anger, what we are expressing behind the surface, even though we're articulating it and have no intention of physical violence, we have words that can be the medium for that. We still have the nature of violence in us. Um, so keeping it in as much as possible is, you know, pretty much crucial.
On that note, tell me why it's important to enjoy whatever life throws at you.
Yeah, I mean, learning to enjoy suffering because it brings growth, you know, is just as important as, you know, appreciating a fun time, you know, appreciating a good time.
On that note, talk to me about handling stressful situations with poise.
Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. It's easier when you see a problem brewing and it's building up and it's building up, and it's easier when you think it can be managed. It's harder when it blindsides you and it can bring a person into fight or fight response. So that can either cause somebody to shell up and try to hide or flee from the situation, or it can cause a freaking verbal response, an aggressive response, as well, a fight response. So, you know, yeah, when you can see it coming, it's really manageable. If it blindsides you, you know, that insult of surprise, ambush, if you will, can really be something that you have to already be conscious to not trust that person with anything. Meaning you can't tell them anything. You couldn't have told them anything about anything, especially about how you feel. And in genuineness, because they're going to try to get you to say something that's natural, and it's going to get you in trouble. Stuff like that.
Tell me why, as time goes on, it's important to become more and more open to change.
Well, you can find yourself in future shock. So many people think that the world we live in is changing so fast, and oh, look at all this technology, and it's going to possess all the people, and you know everybody's gonna become fat and lazy and sit in the chair like Wally, and nobody's going to do anything, nobody's going to move, and you know AI is going to take over, and all the robots and all this stuff. Um, the world is going to change so much that what we see here will be unrecognizable. What we are looking at as modern skyscrapers in our great cities on this planet are going to look archaic. They're going to look like the way that we look at old castles in Europe in ancient Roman ruins. And there's going to be something so much more advanced that even our biggest science fantasies couldn't capture what it's actually going to look like. So being comfortable with losing everything, with knowing that the world is going to be completely different someday, that it is always changing, that if Alexander the Great could have seen the world today, what would he think? What would he think about every person's individual wealth and the things that we own and you know maybe take for granted, like you know automobiles, multiple automobiles, properties, you know stuff like that. Going to the store to get your food, you mean you don't have to actually interact with an animal? You don't have to actually forage and jar or can or preserve or press, you know, all this stuff. So this is going to happen inside of our lives too. A decade makes a big difference. 20 years makes a big difference. So if you're 20 years ago, I was 20 years ago, you know, the world has changed since I was you know, an adult 20-year-old man to now at 40, a completely different world. The way we interact, the way long distance interaction, the way we educate ourselves, the way information is so rapidly available, all the way to DoorDash. You know, they're delivering fast food to your house. You know, these kind of changes already. We look 100 years down the road, it's not even going to be recognizable how we live today.
Talk about why it's important to have full confidence in your emotional judgment.
Full confidence in emotion, my own personal emotional judgment, trusting my self-conscious. My subconscious, I mean, trusting my subconscious and self-conscious, because if I'm feeling self-conscious about something, that means I should probably work on something. My body is telling me something. My body's telling me something's off. So I'd listen to my body, whether it's physical, mental, emotional. If something feels off, I accept that something feels off instead of no, it can't be that, it can't be that, it can't be that. It's now okay, something's off. What is that? And I start looking. What is this? What is that?
On
Yeah.
that note, talk to me about that. Naturally knowing your emotional boundaries.
Yeah, because it's something that is going to, and I can't say completely unmanageable, but unmanageable as in I am now in a state of fight or flight metaphysically. I am now in a conversation that has brought my emotions to a fight or flight response. It doesn't mean that I'm gonna hit the person or physically run away. It just means that my emotions are the same. Um, so you have to trust yourself more than anybody else because you know yourself your whole life. You don't know them their whole life. You don't know them your whole life. So you're with you every single day, all day, since the beginning, and will be until the end. You see what you see. Nobody else should be able to tell you what you see or what you saw wrong or what you saw wrong. Your perspective is valid and important and is the most important perspective that you have, and that's why it was given to you and you alone. To trust anybody with that responsibility is asking to be driven insane. Because once somebody recognizes they have that power over you, they will take advantage of it. When we hear absolute power corrupts and anybody who's given absolute power always abuses it. Okay, because it's such a great temptation, and this is what they're talking about. If somebody is subjugated to your will, and you take advantage of it, um, so being taken advantage of, um, after you just kind of can't be taken advantage of anymore. You can only tolerate people trying for a time, but you have to trust your instinct, or you will end up gaslit, and somebody will rewrite a narrative for your life that is not true, and it
On that
will.
note,
Yeah.
talk about recovering from unsettling setbacks like that.
So recovering from unsettling setbacks to include narcissistic abuse or severe levels of gaslighting, long-term gaslighting, which gaslighting is when somebody paints a reality for you. And you'll go into shock. You'll be very angry. You'll be very, very, very angry. You'll probably uncover financial stuff missing, if it's from a marriage, infidelity, if it's from, say, a mechanic, it might be they try to set your vehicle to burst into flames on you. You never know, or you do know. Um, you will see them slip up. You will see them mock you like you don't know, and yeah, you gotta be calm. You gotta be calm through it, but it's gonna shock you. It's gonna make you angry. And if you identify the person, prepare for them to attack you in any way possible, discredit you, smear campaign you, isolate you, make you afraid to go outside, afraid of your community, afraid of law enforcement. They will literally come after you to protect their scheme, scam, bullshit, yeah, bullshit, basically. Yeah. Yep.
Talk about being resistant to damaging influence.
So there's awareness. There's awareness that it is damaging. And that's first and foremost. If you're not aware that this is something damaging, um, dangerous, especially when we're young, we want to be impressive, we want to be liked, and we don't know that most people would rather see us hurt, right? So we do things for acceptance and we get hurt and we think the people liked us because we made them happy at our pain. So these things become almost a cultural habit that's practically universal. It's practically universal. So grooming oneself out of that, out of the need for social acceptance, out of the if you're the type of person that gets a pit in your stomach when you have to disagree with someone, or you feel like saying no, but you don't want to hurt their feelings, or you don't want them to get angry with you. Um, these kind of things need to be worked out in practice, in healthy environment. Um, you know, can be practiced with a loved one. Even I want to tell this person no. I don't know how to tell them no. Can you help me? Um, a loved one probably be willing to help. But you're going to go through shock, anger, and then acceptance, and shock and anger. But then you're going to get confused. Actually, before acceptance, you're going to get confused. And what most people are going to do that aren't fucked up people that end up in this situation, they're going to try to figure out why this happened and what they could have done to make it different. And really, the only thing that they could have done was leave earlier. But what we'll find is when dealing with these types of situations and people that create them, because as I said in the beginning, most of these problems that a human has, high stress, all the way to insanity, are induced by other people. A dog is less likely to drive you insane than a person by far. Um, Less likely to attack you too. But I digress. The traumas that we endure from mere social interactions is basically all the weight of human trauma, unless you've fallen off of a mountain and had to crawl and or got attacked by a bear or a mountain lion or something. um and these are logical fears. But when it comes to people, and you begin to realize how dangerous people can be, and how dangerous the most innocent seeming person or relationship may seem, you begin to protect your insides. And anybody who tries to love you, you only let them love your exterior. But you learn to cope with this, and in that, losing your codependency on validation from other people liking you, or wanting to date you, or intimacy, and you become more content with just being you and in your life. And in that, you stop taking things as seriously. um, and you begin to have more fun in the times that you have, and life becomes a little more lighthearted. Even though everything else is fucked, you feel all right through it.
Okay. Paint a mental picture for me of an easygoing person.
Easygoing person is somebody who can see that there is a kink in the armor. There is an issue here. There is a problem that needs to be solved, and we're not panicked. We're not fucking panicked. Um, that's an easygoing person. An easygoing person is the guy that can kick over the paint can on the floor and be like, ah, jeez, and then clean it up like nothing happened. Easygoing guy is when their friend is stressed out. They're like, hey, how's it going, buddy? Is there anything I can do? You wanna go over here? You want to go talk somewhere? Go other people drink. I don't drink, so you want to go get a beer or something, and hang out, talk about this. You need some space. You want me to distract you? Throw a ball, whatever. Go fishing, whatever it may be. It may seem childish, but if we look at some of what's supposed to be the best moments of our life, the most free and naive and ignorance is bliss, so blissful little kids, yeah, right. But if we can go back to the priorities and the remedies of childhood in our adulthood, then we can really manage a lot of unneeded, unwanted stress, with sound interactions.
Talk about being open to guidance from your peers.
Yeah, and knowing the difference between proper guidance and malicious guidance. Respecting your peers' intelligence and knowing that if you are on a team and they are on a team and you are any good, then they must be good too. In the military, if you're a gunner, you might know this, but if you're on a convoy, you've got the front truck, their guns pointed forward. Second truck, the gun might be pointed to the left or to the right, depending on what the commander wants. And then the fourth gun, the fourth truck, is pointed to the rear. So this way, these four trucks have a 360-degree coverage. And these four guys that sit in the gun turrets, they only look at their sector. They only look at their section. They don't look at the other guy's section. They act like it doesn't even exist. And they don't bother to look at the other guy because they trust him to do his job. So if you're not on a team where you can trust the other person to do their job, get out. Get out and save yourself, because it's either there's a personal conflict that will not resolve. It will never resolve. It's not like the movies where we have personal conflicts and create a friendly rivalry and then we become buddies. That's not how it works in real life. That's a fantasy. That's why it gets sold. How it works in real life is one person will try to screw the other person over, and the other person will be surprised and either get screwed over or have enough backing with logic and logical evidence and or witnesses with logical evidence to be able to defend themselves, and one will be banished. One will be banished. So it's either to walk away. If you can't trust the people on your team, you have to either address the commander and let them know why this person on the team is you don't feel safe, or you don't feel that they're going to be productive. If you're not comfortable saying it in front of the entire world, that means you don't fully believe it yet, or you don't fully agree. It's either you're listening to somebody else's perspective over your own, or you're still in denial about the situation, or think that you can consciously, logically recover this even if it's a competition, friendly competition, if you will, or someone joshing you. They're just teasing you. They're just getting your goat. They're just pulling your leg. Yeah, this stuff isn't funny, especially not among professionals. So, handling the situation like a professional, it's either you can trust that person to do their job or you can't. And that also means not just job as in job, but commitment. If a person feels they have to check their spouse's phone because they feel like something's off, it needs to be addressed. If someone you find out someone was talking bad about you or someone else, and you don't tell that person, or that person doesn't tell you, and the person that this is going on to is feeling off about it, and they don't tell you, that's gaslighting. If someone tells me, oh, Easter D Bunny is not much of a fucking bunny, he's not going to take you down rabbit hole, then I don't tell Easter what that person said, and Easter asks, hey, I'm not feeling comfortable about this guy. I think something's wrong. I'm not sure. And I tell Easter, no, man, everything's cool, bro. He should instinctively feel something off about me and accept it. Knowing when you're being plotted against is huge. And yeah, back to, if you feel you got to check your spouse's cell phone, you know, if you feel you have to ask, hey, where were you last night? Hey, who gave you a ride? Hey, you didn't answer my call, you normally do. Um, if you're already thinking these things, you already have the answer. Your subconscious is already telling you. Our conscious asks our subconscious. Our subconscious has all the answers.
Talk about becoming more emotionally stable as time goes on.
Yeah, yeah. I think it comes from just the shock of being alive, and then the constant surprises and betrayals, letdowns, setbacks, different reasonings, from going from not accepting to accepting. A one that was very difficult for me to accept was jealousy, and I've never been jealous of anybody else. I've been at times jealous of other people's circumstances, but I had never felt like, oh, I want to be this person. I had felt like, oh, I wish I were an adult. Had felt like, oh, I wish I wasn't here. But never, I wish I was somebody else. And I never understood the dangers of jealous people, and I never understood why anybody would be jealous of me, because I've endured a lot in my life, a lot of serious hardships. Um, I'm told I'm rather handsome. Okay, thank you. But I didn't know that for a long time, because I was told I was ugly. I was told things that were ridiculous, but I didn't know. I didn't know because I was receiving the feedback, and I was trusting the feedback, and I was trusting what other people were saying instead of trusting, myself, or I was allowing other people to sculpt my own self identity. They were trying to bring me into another identity. This is gaslighting. They were trying to bring me into a lower esteem about myself, because they didn't want me to feel good about myself. Because if they were me, they would feel good about themselves. So since I'm me and they're not, they want me to feel bad less than they are. See my goals. They don't want me to accomplish them. They want me to fail. This became very, very apparent, but through maturity. It wasn't apparent when I was young. As an adult, it became very apparent. Okay, this is something, and I was warned about this, that this was going to happen to me, and it does. And now with that, with knowing and accepting, and it's like, holy shit, this guy is actually jealous of me. This person is actually envious and angry and wants to harm either my reputation or my physical body. And this has happened from my closest trusted, partner in life at the time. Um, has happened to basically, with a lot of people, Um, yeah, it's happened with a lot of people in my life. It's happened from strangers. If some random guy wants to fight you at a bar. You've never met this man before in your life, and he's punching you in the back of the head. That's jealousy. So, and when you're misunderstood by a stranger and it invokes fear or jealousy in them and they decide to reject their instinct, which most people do, it can put both of you in a lot of danger.
When I tell you to picture yourself in a better light, what comes to mind?
You know, I've been in some really dark mental states and been really hurt, emotionally hurt, confused, betrayed, um, dragged into a hole of depression, trying to figure out how these things that were unjustified had happened to me. And I'm not one to take a victim mentality on things. I'm one to face problems head on and stick through something for a long time if I must, and still have hope that there's a chance of rectifying what's going on, damages or whatever. And it becomes something that you have to let go of. And for me, it came with pleading inside of my subconscious, which I believe is a bigger tool than maybe we know, but it's not scientifically proven as far as I know. And I'm not going to pull up the AI for this segment, but I was in such a dark place and so confused and so hurt that I ended up weeping, and my eyes were pinched so closed that everything was just black, just dark. And what I felt in that moment, the only words that I can describe it was I was surrounded by God in the nothing, and there was nothing. And in that nothing, I found understanding. And it wasn't understanding of God, it was understanding me, and that none of this mattered and none of this pain mattered, and I was able to be alone in that darkness, and that darkness was God, and in that darkness I was held, and I found comfort in it. And as I started to open my eyes, I didn't open them all the way. I just let them kind of be in that reddish state. I internally visualized, this wasn't a hallucination or a manic state, but I internally visualized Krishna and a few other deities, and they all had a different emotional state, but each one of their emotional states was manageable. And they embraced me as a brother, and I opened my eyes completely, and I was no longer in the tunnel that had become a pit, but now was outside of it completely. And my life was once again my own, and I've never felt back in that tunnel since. And I felt like I was in a dark tunnel for years, and it was purely circumstantial, and it was justified over an injustice, and I got out of it. I got out of it. And what's interesting though is it wasn't a circumstance in life that had changed. It was that I had changed with that psychological experience.
When you say that you appreciate all that life has to offer, define that for me, what it feels like. Appreciating everything that life brings to you.
Small details, paying attention to small details, and finding a fondness for them. It's like I'm looking at this Oriental lamp that I have, and it's got these flowers that have this like gold paint on the ridges of the leaves, and it gives it this shiny 3D effect. It's just really cool. Um, things like that. We see a sunrise, we see a sunset every day if you're up for them, and they're always amazing. They're always amazing, and every day there's something to contemplate. And I spend most of my time in thought, and that's where I like to be. That's probably my comfort zone is alone and in thought. And there's so much to contemplate on existence if you're in awe by it. And this planet is full of awe. It's full of awesome and it's full of awful. And both of those two make it very beautiful. And it's interesting to be human and to even perceive that it's a very limiting existence, because how would we know? How would we know what's limiting? We're the most unlimited creature on this planet by far, yet we still find this existence limiting. It's not that we have any other gods to see, to witness, the shape of a human being, with his hands raised, flying with nothing but the force of his body. But we have inventions, and we can fly. Um, and yet still find it so limiting, and still find a desire to reach for more, and to some of us attempt to etch our names in history, and be known and recoverable, to try to build a legacy, and yet it feels so limited, and in that limitation it feels so fragile, but also like it's never going to end all at the same time. So it's something that it's very special. And if we look how far out we can see as humans, there isn't anything else that we can see. There may be something else out, and it's fun to talk about and speculate and imagine and look at the probabilities and the size and the vastness of space, and just the Milky Way galaxy alone, and blah 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 blah. And then we got these other galaxies that we know exist, and yet here we are, and if we look up at the night sky, all we can see is the twinkling stars. We look at the day sky, all we can see is the sun, night, the moon, and the stars. There's nothing else but us that we can prove. The animals that we share, which are less than humans by far, every single one of them. I don't care if you're a bear, if you're a whale, if you're a dolphin, you are not doing what humans are doing. You did not evolve to do what we do. We did. We make this planet. We rule this planet. The aliens will not be speaking to humpback whales when they arrive. They will be speaking to humans, if that were, in a hypothetical. So just in that, without even having to move, I am inspired inside of my own office, not even sitting at my desk chair, which is where everything is designed to be inspiring, but the exact opposite. I'm looking at the green screen. Um, there's so much just in our thoughts, that there's a saying, I can't remember which, I believe it was a Taoist saying, but it's one can know the entirety of the world without ever leaving their home, but just looking out their window. And what they're talking about there is thought. You have all the vastness and beauty that you can manage to conjure from your subconscious in your thought if you have the right words to pull it. And planet Earth is going to offer you enough chances if you do leave your house to be in awe, to be inspired. If you're not a damn hater, if you're not a hater, because even the ugliest car is a phenomenal invention. And when we look at it, I cannot do any of the things that I have. Like, I cannot make the pants that I have. The shorts that I'm wearing right now, I can't make those. I can't do that. I don't. I could figure it out, but it's going to take a long time, and I don't want to spend the time to figure it out. A whole team of people figured out how to make it so I can get these shorts, and other people like me can have them. My computer, the monitor, I got to take that thing apart. That's a whole city under there. That's a megatropolis. I I can't do anything with that. I can mess with it when it's all put together, but I can't do anything otherwise. So there's so many just little pieces. The wood on this nightstand. How old was that tree? How much energy? How many calories worth of energy of sugars were put to form that wood? How many years? Did that take? How much life's essence was put so I could have this literal corpse of that life to hold up my lamp? You know, um, these types of matters in my life keep me constantly inspired, constantly in awe at what being a human means. I could never get bored with existence. I could never become suicidal. I could never have the desire to get rid of this opportunity to be here. You know, this limited perspective.
Tell me about speaking your mind rather than letting frustrations build up.
Yeah. If something is frustrating you, letting it out as peacefully as possible before it becomes a genuine issue is key. So that comes with laying down ground rules, and usually we don't do that because it's almost insulting to try to tell someone your boundaries. Because it's if it's a genuine boundary, it's already universally known, accepted, and respected. So if somebody's pushing your boundaries, they're doing it on purpose. Know that. Nobody pushes somebody's boundaries unintentionally. So letting out a peaceful civil warning, hey, that hurt my feelings. Hey, I don't like it when you do that. Hey, I would appreciate it if you wouldn't talk about this like that. It's really not any of your business. Things of that sort. Or, I'm noticing this type of stuff. Or I noticed you started to talk to me different. Or, you've been distant, or whatever it may be. Um, what's going on? That way, because they're not going to stop. If the offense is genuine and intentional, they're not going to stop. And your peaceful response is not going to be respected. So,
on that note, talk to me about confronting the problems constructively.
it becomes very difficult because being mature and peaceful about boundaries being crossed, in knowing that boundaries are crossed intentionally, because we um, um, internally know, um, we inherit our natural moral code. We know when we've caused an offense. We know offenses we can take offense that wasn't intended, human error. Okay, that can be discussed in a matter of short minutes and cleared up. When it's intentional, then that cannot and it will not be resolved. So being peaceful, if you try to be peaceful to resolve it, they will not look at you as being peaceful. They will look at you as being weak. If you try to be tolerant then of the abuse, okay, I'm just not going to say anything. I'm going to ignore it. Yeah. Same thing. They're not going to look at you as being tolerant. They're going to look at you as basically welcoming this type of treatment and behavior. So then if you tell them finally, F off, get the F out of my life, I hate you, you've been putting me through this stuff, they're not going to be surprised because you've let them know peacefully, I know what you're doing, I don't like it, please stop. After you've let them know and they continue, that is because they think you are only going to tell them please stop, please stop, please stop, please stop. They'll do it until you're begging, crying, hurt. They'll do it till you snap, if they can. So I have tried to handle this in so many different circumstances with so many different people that it's ridiculous. And I still haven't found the sort of perfect method to cope with this beyond leave and leave before it gets bad. Try to break contact as quietly and as peacefully as possible. And this is the safest route for everyone. If you lose your cool and you say something that they can use against you, they're going to use it against you. If they can manipulate you into sounding like a tough guy or you're going to do something physical, they're going to take what they intentionally provoked and turn it against you, and they go to the police, file an order of protection, that they'll smear campaign you, they'll show other people. If you try to expose what they did, they'll try to say, look, he's crazy, look, he said this to me, but he was doing this to me. People don't want to hear that. They want to see the drama. So when they see the drama coming from you, then the drama all gets pointed at you, and people are more instinctive to support the person who's initially saying, oh, look at what happened, here's the evening news, than they are to actually look at what the problem is, or to assess both sides, or look at both stories, or see the evidence of the physical happenings, timelines, situations, circumstance, and so on. So it's very difficult. The easiest and best way, number one way, if you can, and it's very, very difficult, walk away, get out of there. Don't give them anything. Don't give them any information. Don't give them an opportunity to make amends. Don't give them a chance to make it up to you. Don't allow them to do anything kind for you. That is a trap. Um, and just get away. Get away. Go on silent mode. If you can hear them talk, ignore them. If it's I don't believe that if you have the self control to not block, don't block. Just silent them. So they can't see if you've read anything. They don't know if you've read anything, and you can see what they're trying to say to you without in interference of them knowing whether or not you blocked them. Um, the biggest torture that you can put a narcissist through is banishment and ignoring. And if it's done cold turkey, they will lash out because they view their victims as supply, like a drug addict, because you are literally giving their brain the ability to release drugs, emotional drugs. And they get these endorphin releases by pissing you off, by hurting you. And there's people all over the place that this is how they behave. So breaking contact's the only way to manage it. They don't change. They can't be fixed. They will not be fixed. They don't want to change. They don't want to be fixed. They don't want to make amends. They just want to torture you.
Talk to me about what it's like to be a positive person that others can turn to without fear.
Yeah. Being safe, being a person of your word, not speaking out of turn, um, not speaking irrationally, not speaking violently. Um, when a person is very capable and confident with their ability to survive, mitigate, and navigate danger, um, they're not once you don't have to prove anything to yourself anymore, and you respect yourself enough as a formidable being, a formidable contender, if you will, on this planet. um you don't really have to express it. In fact, it becomes a matter of I can't express it because I'm capable. It's only the incapable that are always running around. That and the unsure, the incapable and the unsure are running around going, I'll kick his ass, I'll kick everybody's ass, oh, you should kick his ass. Um, but those that are actually refined in their ability, whether it's in violence or science or medical field or whatever it may be, they're naturally, once things get really heavy and hard, they're too focused to actually be angry. It's usually when an outside circumstance makes it to where they can't respond, can't react, and they're stuck. They're stuck basically mentally and emotionally getting beat down, and their skills are no longer applicable.
Okay. Tell me why it's important to believe in other people.
Well, I don't believe that you should believe in other people beyond the results that they put out. So, like I mentioned, the trucks and how nobody, is really checking to see if the other guy's doing the thing. It's because we've been tested, trained, mocked up, drilled, and have seen in a controlled environment the behaviors and consistency of how everybody operates. But I still only trust myself. I trust my ability to assess other people and to assess my own dangers and to recognize that everything and everybody outside and around is subjugated to change, and also everybody to include myself in any operation is expendable at any given time, and one sentence can fuck the whole thing up, can change an entire course of an operation. So you know, like back to being somebody that is positive and people like, um, looking for the outcome and being able to strive through it with consistency. That's positivity. It's not, oh, look at all this mess around us. It's, if we keep going that way, we will accomplish what we're going after. That's the kind of positivity that we should be seeking in our units and in our team, and the type of trust that we should be seeking. I am trusting you to keep going. I am trusting you to do your job. I am trusting you to show me the result. um, I am trusting you to keep your word, but I haven't trusted you with it because I only put in what I was willing to lose already. So if you betray me, if you mess up, then I'm okay with that, because I figured somebody might anyway. And I didn't know who it was going to be. It ended up being you, so I was already ready for the loss.
What what do you look for to be able to determine and pinpoint when another person is genuine or not?
The first time I catch a person in a lie, which is
Yeah.
basically the first time I'm suspicious about a lie, um, if I'm suspicious, I'm probably going to catch it. And I'm not talking about, oh, that's bullshit because I'm jealous. I'm talking about, this is illogical, irrational, doesn't check out, doesn't seem sound, doesn't fit the narrative, something's off. The second I catch somebody in an acceptance lie, catch somebody in a straight face lie, catch somebody in a tragedy lie. Oh
Mm.
God, people love tragedy lies. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're pointing out though the people that are not genuine. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's necessary. Don't get me wrong, and I'm glad that you went in that direction. It's just that I am reminding you, if we can, because what I would like for you to do is to tell me what it takes to pinpoint someone that's genuine,
Their
so you
words
can make
match
the
their actions. Their words match their actions.
so honesty,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep. Their words match their actions. That's it. Their words match their
that's it.
actions. Yeah. Yeah. The
Okay.
words match their actions. They can be genuinely hateful too. You know, they can be genuinely positive. But their words match their actions. Somebody who says, oh, I love you, and they're stabbing you in the back and spending your money, or somebody who says, oh, this project's finished and it's not finished. These kind of things. These kind of things. But another thing is, if somebody tells you they're going to do something, believe it. If somebody told you that they've done something, believe it. Believe it. Even if you don't want to, because they're telling you something. They're telling you something. They're letting you know something that they're capable of. If somebody shows you a weakness, believe it. If somebody tells you they have a weakness, believe it. Yup. These are all keys to but when it comes to positive genuine, same thing. It's backed with results. They say they're going to do something for you, and they do. They find out you like something, and out of the blue they get it for you, or they do it for you. um it, they say that they're going to do something, and they do it. Or if they say, oh, I feel for you in that situation, and then they put effort into help you with that situation. Um, and this has happened. I've had people do this to me with multiple situations in my life. I've done this for other people with multiple situations in my life. Um, it's just the action matches the words, and it's good things. It's good things. And I love you is at face value. If it should be taken at face value if it doesn't match positive action, because a lot of times we'll be told I love you by somebody whose actions are doing the exact opposite, and then the word love just becomes a tool of control because of commitment. And but at the same time, like with a woman, it is always honesty. A man, same thing. It's always honesty. um it doesn't matter if a woman looks at you with a twinkle in her eye and all that stuff. It can feel really nice and heartwarming. You can see the difference in a woman's eyes when she's trying to manipulate you with a seductive look versus she's genuinely in awe by you when she's looking up at you. Stuff like that. You can tell. But if the words aren't matching the action, and there's dishonesty going on, and you're catching on to it, then there's your polar opposites. It's either the shit is matching and making sense and is logical and is consistent, and there is effort involved, and it doesn't have to be big effort, but just little efforts, you know um little comforts. They provide you little comforts, and they're doing this instinctively, naturally, because they want to, because your presence makes them feel good. Yeah, it'll always come with behavior. It'll never be well, I love the person, but if they would just stop doing this, or if they would only do this, that's manipulation. That I love the person, but, or I like the guy, but, or I like the girl, but, all of these things, they just create confusion. Um, but it's going to be very rare to find somebody like if we're talking about intimacy and personal relationships and stuff like that, finding somebody genuine. Um, Ask vulnerable questions that you already know the answers to because they're universal, and see how they're answered. And if they're answered with honesty, then she's probably got some kind of courage and respectable characteristics and traits, and will be genuine. You know.
What's the difference between having inner peace and being stress free?
Okay. Having inner peace is the world is still the world. Um, it's just you're centered. You're centered in it. You're unshaken. Um, Stress free is life is great. Life is great. It's a period of time or a phase that there was a big win, and or a couple of big wins, or some things worked out, and it's a celebratory, you know, celebration moment, jubilee, if you will, a jubilation. Um, it's freaking yeah, woohoo. It's after the struggle. It's after the struggle. But inner peace is no, the struggle's there. It's just you're not freaking out about it. The world's falling apart, sure. It's just not moving you to be shaken. You're just a witness.
Tell me about seeing the world in simple measures.
Positive, negative, neutral. Positive, you got negative, you got neutral, and you've got manageable and unmanageable. And I pretty much break it all down to that.
Okay, tell me about setting those limits for yourself.
If someone's trying to flip my switch against the grain of the current position that we're in, and it's causing a disruption, it's disrupting the circuit, the flow of energy. I'm going to try to tell them to stop. Don't do that. Don't do that. Why? Why? You know, how do you mitigate someone that has malicious intention? There is an enemy and a reason for an enemy.
Do you see anything good about being angry?
I think if it's channeled in a healthy manner, absolutely, it's a survival tool. It's a moral compass. Um, yeah, I think there's a lot of good that can come from it. I think anger has created, for one, a lot of beautiful art, beautiful music. It's created a lot of survival. It's been the cause for great concepts like justice to exist. Yeah, I believe that there's things that we should be angry about. Um, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I believe that there are behaviors that are detestable and should be viewed as such and universally agreed on to be so, like the destruction
Tell
of
me,
innocence, intentional.
tell me about some of the results that you're happy with from being angry in the past.
Oh, martial arts drive. Yeah, it helped drive a lot of my martial arts for a long time. I call it happily aggressive. I don't really call it angry. It turns into a mode of drive. Like there's never a face in front of it. It's just a mode of drive. Just a pushing through it. Um, it can bring out a interesting uh, focus, like a superior level of focus, if you're doing something with it. If you're not doing anything with it, then it just sucks. You're pacing around wanting to pull your hair out. But if you're doing something with it, it can really, you know, tune you into focus. But it changes from anger into aggression, and aggression can feel really good actually, when it's being harnessed in a healthy direction. It can make people strive through things and do things that maybe they wouldn't have been able to without that chemical response that goes on through the body.
With that in mind, tell me about living life to the fullest.
Yeah, yeah, you should. You should. Everybody um, has a different concept of what that may mean for them, and I think it's seeing what you came to see, doing what you came to do, tasting what you came to taste, and doing so as peacefully as possible. Trying to scar the earth with your memory without disrupting it negatively as much as possible. As much as possible. Because I don't believe many people really want to be disruptive. I think it becomes a temptation to be disruptive. I think it can become an addiction to be disruptive. But I think for a lot of people, for them living life to the fullest, have a family and have barbecues and people over and Christmas, and maybe build a nice car someday or something like that. Um, for me, it's see the world, um, basically everything, and I like holy sites and ancient temples and old stuff. Um, I think to me that stuff is like, wow, look at all this humans put all this effort into it. Um, for everybody, anybody, what it is, what their pursuit of happiness looks like. Um, if they're not seeking it, there's short, medium, and long term goals that they can write out and work towards making that happen. But content, another thing is content. If a person's content, they don't have to do anything. Content is one of the biggest piece of peace, pieces of peace that human can even have is I have food that I can eat. I have shelter that I can go to. I have light inside of my home. I have, warmth or cool air, um, appreciating that can really help somebody to, understand that they're living life. They have the means to live their life. Now what they choose to do with those calories and what they choose to or how they choose to treat that shelter um is up to them, but they're alive. So while you're alive, it's your chance to do something.
Talk to me about the dare to be different.
Yeah, an individual society has never constructed the perfect layout for social presentation of anybody's full identity. So mixing and matching what society has to offer, like it's a fucking trunk of costumes in a kindergarten classroom, can be really really helpful. Like Zig Ziglar had mentioned a while back, should dress nice, very nice, at least once a week, and to give you some pride. And even if nobody else is dressing up and they want to ask you why are you dressed up, you can tell them, that you're doing this for you and you wanted to feel dressed up. You wanted to look nice today, and you don't need any other reason. These kind of things, questioning the roles that society is saying that we're portraying as we live our lives honestly. So, we're taught, the male's the head of the relationship, sort of thing. But if we look at all these relationships in the Western world, what we're seeing is they're mostly female driven. The financials, where the money gets spent, he's asking her for permission. Can I do this? Can I go out with the boys? Can I? Can we buy this? Can we buy that? And it's all his money. Usually, he's earning it. He's the one going to work. Um, but he sacrifices what he has for somebody else. So one of the biggest keys to being able to live life to the fullest is to live it for yourself. If you live it for somebody else or by somebody else's standards, you will sacrifice your life and everything you ever wanted that you can have for that person's wants from you. So there's a little gold nugget.
Describe to me how to be engaged in the moment.
Do things you're interested in. Do things you're interested in. And then know when you're exhausted. Know when you're exhausted. It's like, I can't do this anymore. I got to do something else. Have multiple hobbies. Have multiple hobbies. Have multiple things that you can jump around from. Um, so you can always be engaged because you're never going to want to be engaged at the same thing every day forever. Doesn't matter what it is. So finding new ways to be able to be engaged in the same way you would with your favorite activities is very important. And finding little side hobbies or side activities to get good at that you'll have the skill, but it's not going to be something that you're going to dedicate your life to. For me, an example would be Warhammer miniatures. I like to paint these things. I like to paint them sometimes. I like to paint them when I like to paint them. It takes a lot of time to paint these guys. They're the size of your thumb joint, and you're painting eyeballs and fingernails on them. Um, that's not something I do every day. It's not even something I do every year. It's just something that I have also put hundreds of hours into. Um, having something to be able to mitigate space for your primary activities will help you stay focused on your primary goals and activities. Yeah.
Tell me why having respect for yourself helps others to like and respect you.
Well, if you don't think you're worthy of respect, then nobody else can respect you. If you don't think you're worthy of being liked, then how can somebody else like you? And there's been certain times and situations where somebody has talked poorly about themselves, and it made me question why I was interacting with them. If they think so low about themselves, why am I interacting with them? Why do I think highly of them when they think so low of themselves? Maybe I need to reassess how I think about them. That's what it does when somebody has low self esteem or is fishing for sympathy. That's how it comes off to people that are successful, grounded, level headed, and goal oriented and driven. It comes off like that.
Explain staying persistent even when faced with failure.
Yeah, that's what persistence is. You can't be persistent if you don't fail. Persistence is the ability to endure failure and continue.
Tell me about feeling important.
A person should always be the most important person in their life unless they have children. And then their child or children is an extension of themselves. So that future them should be the most important. But if you don't respect your own life, then how can you respect anybody else's? If and it's like the whole thing when it comes to um, medical or drowning or combat assessment, um, you need to check yourself first and make sure you're healthy. If you are not healthy, you cannot help anybody else. You are no good and in need of help. So
Explain how to be resistant to outside influence.
knowing knowing that it is an influence, knowing what you put into your head, knowing that you can't unread what you've read, can't unsee what you've seen, and that the world is traumatic. We're always going to be influenced in some sort of way by something. If a I don't like commercials. I'm sure most people don't like commercials. They don't like ads. They're called ads nowadays. Um, I don't know if anybody calls them commercials anymore, but I don't like them because I know that this person or this organization is trying to manipulate me into something that I never had interested in the first place. So it annoys me to get a commercial, and sometimes I take my headphones off before it'll skip because I don't want the mental influence going on in my head. I don't want their song going on in my head. I don't want to remember their jingle. I don't want to hear their jingle. I don't want to know their cue or signature sound or catchphrase. So I avoid it. When it comes to unhealthy entertainment, to keep it from becoming an influence, because unhealthy entertainment had sculpted a major part of my life. Some of my biggest influences were G.I. Joe, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and John McClane. And if I look at my life, I became those entities that were my childhood influence. As an adult, what I see when I see, say, violent entertainment, is that in reality, these actions and behaviors cause nothing but pain, suffering, shame, hardship, and long reaching to actually do in real life. So a lot of stuff that is used as a tool of influence inside of corporate America, like really bad music, bad lyrics and music. And when I say bad, I'm not saying it's not artistically well constructed. Excuse me. I'm saying that it's bad as in if somebody does what those lyrics are insinuating or suggesting, they will end up dead or in prison. So being aware that that is the route that gets sold in the Western world all over is a product or idea that will kill you or wind you in prison is commonplace. In knowing that that is the goal of some of these organizations to kill you or put you in prison because they will make more money off of it based off of their chain of investments that go into medical and into firearms and into the music industry, which ties to the prison industry and so on. The and into the drug. When I'm saying medical, I mean drug industry that promotes addictions and violent crimes. Um, TV shows that promote a false representation of what love looks like or what a healthy or unhealthy relationship looks like, what is an expectation of people in general, stereotypes and stigmas. Um, Being educated enough to know that these things are facades, and that sticking with academics and even questioning the academics and seeing where great minds have counter theories, and knowing what is not a theory and what is a law, a scientific law or physical law, is crucial to be able to indulge in some senseless BS that's in the media without being influenced.
Well, we got 2 hours of take here. Do you want to keep going?
No, that's good enough for me. That is good
Okay.
enough for me. Let me freaking do the closing out song here. That's good. And thank you to anybody who made it to the end. That was intense.
Yeah. All right, man. I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording.
Hell yeah! I'm just playing the outro now.
Yeah, it's 2 hours long, and I think that if somebody were to hear that, it'll possibly stir them in a new direction when they go to get angry in the future.